Third time lucky. Hopefully the internet works now. So, no matter how hard you feel your life has become, and how closed in the walls feel, that you feel like you can't move forward, or that you've failed yourself, or that the opportunities you thought you would have in life haven't happened, or that you feel that life is closed in, that you're numb, that you feel just stuck. That, for me, I know for a fact that you're not stuck forever. There's no way, just the way our consciousness works, the way our minds work, there's no need to remain stuck or lost or sad or closed in. You know, like there's no need for certain routines to carry on and on and on. You have every right to shake up your life, to reinvent yourself, to recreate the life that you're living now. Life is fluid. Your actions can become more fluid. I know for a fact that where I was 5, 6 years ago, I felt like I'd failed myself. I was waking up feeling awful every day before I even started the day. I felt like all the opportunities that I'd missed or that I hadn't taken, or the vision I'd had of my life just wasn't the way it was, really. And I really felt like this is going downhill. It felt like everything was going downhill. And I just wanted to come on today to just be testament that that's not the case. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay stuck. You have every right to change it up. And I just think that the ways to do that, there's many ways to do that. There's certain things like examining your habits, examining your addictions and obsessions. What do you obsess about? What do you go round and round and round and round again? What stories do you repeat again and again? What, I am this and I am that and I only do this and I only like that. All those kind of conversations that you have with yourself. The ways that you represent yourself to the people in your life. How can you shift that and slowly change that? How can you allow yourself to be something that you weren't yesterday? And there's ways of doing this that, you know, it feels to me like every person that I work with, that their spirit, like everyone's higher dimensional self is asking you, like your higher dimensional self is asking you to rise and to grow and to lift yourself out of whatever predicament you are in or whatever cul-de-sac you have found yourself in. The only reason why that is happening to you, that you are stuck or in a cul-de-sac or feeling miserable, is because your spirit is demanding, is asking you to start finding the light and start moving out of where you're stuck. What can you do to start lifting yourself? What thoughts can you start introducing into your life patterns that are different from the ones that you were repeating for the last 20 years or so? What stories can you change? And it feels to me like an epic life review is needed for you to sit down and actually look at all the words you use habitually, all the actions you've taken in the past, the ways you've reacted to certain people, to certain situations. What can you start examining in your own behaviors? Like, take responsibility for your actions, your words, your vibration, and what you bring into your life and the world around you and the people around you. What is it that you can look at, and with the cold, hard truth of a mirror, look at yourself and start looking at how you behave and start going like, does this actually fit what I believe to be right and wrong in the world, what I believe to be moral, what I believe that is a noble way to behave in the world? If your behaviors and your actions over the last... It disconnected, so I hope that it's seamless for you guys. I know there was a pause. And what I'm saying is, start doing a life review on yourself. Start looking at what is your non-negotiables. What do you think is right and wrong in the world? What do you think is good behavior and bad behavior? Where have you fallen short of your own moral code? That is what a life review is to me. That's when you start examining yourself with like a sword, like a diamond sword, and you go, no, I didn't behave right there. spoke out of turn there. I actually hurt someone there. And start taking responsibility for what that actually means, and start finding compassion and forgiveness for yourself, so that you can find peace with yourself. Find actual acceptance of who you are. Find compassion and self-love for who you are. And if you start looking at where you have got to, even if you did the worst things in the world, you could still start unraveling the kind of person that did that and start becoming a person that doesn't do that. I'm very passionate about this stuff. So it feels like when you do a life review, you're like sifting for gold. You're letting all the debris and the detritus and what doesn't count in your life to fall through the net. And so that you can actually find the bits of gold that are you, that are your purpose, that your heart, that is the parts of you that you want to present to the world. So start sifting through all of the stuff that you're carrying energetically, physically, like clutter, whatever you want to call it. The emotions that you carry, the thought patterns that you carry, start sifting and finding the gold bits, and let other stuff fall away. So if you do feel stuck and lost and like you've messed up and that you don't know the way out and what can you do, is start finding the bits that you do like about yourself and start absolving yourself and start devoting time to finding compassion for the part of you that didn't behave the way you wished. Find forgiveness for yourself. It's not about going and asking for forgiveness of others. It's about forgiving yourself first. Because your actions do matter. Your words do matter to the people that are around you, the people you work with, your children, our families. If everyone did this, then it would actually have such a humongous ripple effect across the world, of people starting to behave in like the noble humans that we can be. There's other ways of, like, the life review is one big way of starting to move out of patterns that you wish you weren't in anymore. But there's also looking at examining your triggers. What activates you? What was the last time that you got really upset or wound up, or like triggered, or I don't know how to explain that if you don't know that language. If you get emotionally activated beyond like a core central self, so that you feel like out of sorts or over, really upset about something maybe not so big, start examining your triggers. Start going back into yourself and going like, okay, so when did this trigger actually happen? So it can't have been just this one time. There's other times that trigger's happened, and start going back in time until you find the parts of you that were originally triggered maybe in childhood. Or, if you can't do it on your own, that's what people like me are here doing, is helping people do the life review, find the triggers, re-educate and reinvent who you can be in the world. And there's just so many other ways you can do it, like the pattern interrupting your normal habits, interrupt the way you eat food, interrupt the way you interact with people out there. Like, I was so entrenched and identified so strongly with my identity as a festival party scene kind of alternative person, that all my friends are in that world, and that's all I could talk about, and that's all I identified with, until I started realizing that the choices I was making were hurting me and my physical self, and also the people that were around me weren't necessarily, not all, I'm saying there's always beautiful people being in my life, but there's been extended circles that they weren't looking after my highest good. I wasn't in a position where I was surrounded by people that wanted to see me succeed or become the best version of myself. So I started being really ruthless. And that's what we have to be these days. We have to be ruthless about the kind of, if we want to make a difference in the world, we have to start being ruthless with the kind of things that we believe of ourselves, but of people around us. And if it doesn't fit, then you find compassionate ways of moving into a direction where it does fit you. You don't have to stay where you are with the people that you are, in the relationships that you're in the jobs that you're in the towns or countries that you're in. We are lucky enough to be able to reinvent that scenario and that pattern around us. You are not obliged to stay in places and relationships and in scenes, like cultures that you don't agree with. It's time that we start creating the cultures and the relationships that we actually believe in, that we think are right or good for the future of our societies and of our ways of relating with each other. So hello to the people that have just joined. I'm just going kind of like having a passionate rant about how if you do feel stuck and if you're in the wrong relationships, in the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong people, that you have every right to be fluid and reinvent yourself. And it isn't always easy. And I was just discussing how you can do like a life review and really look at what your moral code is, what your values are, what you think is right and wrong, and then examine yourself where you've let yourself down in that respect. Where have you acted outside of your moral code? And start really looking for forgiveness and compassion with yourself, as well as then looking into your triggers and where you get activated emotionally and then slip out of your core self of who you think you really are, and then start examining where they came from and what that means. Yeah, so I think I wanted to say more things. I'm going to look what I wrote down. I wrote stuff down. I think, no, I've done good. Yeah, just the idea that with the triggers and the emotional stuff where you feel like you don't, if you feel like you carry burdens, maybe they're not all your own emotional burdens, or, you know, when every time you start a relationship, this thing keeps coming up and you can't seem to get to the bottom of it. I think the main key thing to really shift how you're feeling, how you behave in that way, is to really dive deep into what the wound is, what the grief is, what the sadness is, what the pain is, where you abandon yourself again and again and again. It's not someone else that's abandoned you in the end, maybe originally, but eventually it's you that creates that pattern. And I'm not saying that it's, you know, we all suffer some forms of trauma, and none of it is fair. None of this is fair, but it's up to you. And I think it's your spirit that calls you. When you have like these deep wounds, it's your spirit that's saying, this time he or she will get it, and he and she will rise out of that pattern of abandoning themselves or continuously living a wound again and again and again. This time they're going to get it. And if you don't get it, you're going to have to learn it again next time. So I think every time we are triggered or upset with ourselves or stuck or lost or feel like things aren't going to change, it's an opportunity to rise and to grow and to create new patterns. And that's what I'm really passionate about, helping people see those patterns and to really deal with them. And I actually... So there's a lot going on in my world at the moment. So this is like a little update. I'm about to go to Australia. I've been fully booked all month, and I've still got 19 treatments to go before I fly on the 5th. So that's crazy. And I actually feel a bit like I got something going on in my throat, which has been an interesting exploration of how, what is that? What is the... You know, why is my immune system taking a hit? Obviously I'm doing a lot, but there's always an energetic pattern behind things, and there's a lot of things going on that are all very exciting, and a lot of pieces are having to shift, and I'm having to create a lot of harmony in my life where lots of pieces are shifting. And so I'm super excited because going on Facebook Lives has made a huge difference to my business and to me sharing more and more of the work that I do with people, and the sessions that I'm having with people are awesome, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm really excited about going to Australia for 2 months, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. As if you know anyone in Australia that might be interested in my work or want to meet me or whatever, then that would be fantastic. I'd love to connect with them. And other than that, I just think, don't believe that you are stuck forever, or that you've failed forever, or that things just don't change, because it's not true. And I really believe in you, and I believe in your light, and I believe in your spiritual journey. Even if you're not spiritual, just the evolution of your consciousness and expansion of your perspectives is possible and is doable, and you can start today. And there's nothing that could... It's almost like when you get to the bottom of the pit of where you feel like this is rock bottom and this is terrible, there's something that happens. It's like the seed, the shell cracks, the shoot comes up, and it's just like, I'm not staying here. I'm not supposed to be here. Tell yourself every day, I'm not supposed to be here, and it's not supposed to be like this. And then watch how things change. So happy Sunday. Sorry I've not been live at all lately. It's been full on and there's just no time. There's no time at all, and yeah, well, I'll keep updating about what's going on when I can. Lots of love. Take care.